Nikita Singh. Every week on Tech It Out, we look at a world in flux, where technology is rewriting life as we know it and changing how we live it. This week, we're showing you a stunning exhibition that pays homage to the X-ray, a digital atlas that has mapped an ancient empire, a small Indian village that's gone off the grid. A food truck in Silicon Valley isn't driverless but doesn't need a chef. And microdramas in China created not by us, but AI. Now, for all the hype, AI can't create video with high production values, at least not yet. But for a creator with a limited budget and a big imagination, AI is opening up a whole new world of creativity. In China, creators are making microdramas that are racking up millions of views.
Brevity has always been a dangerous tool in the hands of a writer, but for those writing ultra-short video dramas, tight scripts isn't a virtue. It's the only currency that works. 30 seconds to 2 minutes. Plot, character, closure. Do it fast, do it well, and the algorithm might just notice you. Then again, don't bother. AI can do this just as well in half the time. In China, there's a series called Strange Mirror of Mountains and Seas. Monsters, heroes, impossible skies, even the humans, all of it generated by AI. It's been watched over 50 million times. Chen Kun, the creator, says microdramas are perfect targets for AI. The screens are small, the audience distracted, and the flaws, who notices when they're scrolling on the subway.
When watching microdramas, people may more often regard it as a kind of entertainment to fill the gaps of their daily lives. During these times, people have more tolerance and may not have such high requirements for the quality of the videos. Therefore, even though AI cannot yet achieve the production quality of traditional filmmaking today, it can, as a first step, meet the needs of microdramas.
Microdrama studios are now swapping actors and screenwriters for algorithms, raising the kind of alarm bells that echo across every creative industry. Chen used ChatGPT for the script, Midjourney for stills, Kling for motion, Suno for the music. Humans were retained only for editing and voice work.
It's so accessible. It lowers the cost of production so much. It makes everything so much faster.
At the Shanghai Vancouver Film School, students are already being trained to think like prompt engineers. They type ideas into design, an AI image editor, and within moments, the screen floods with polar bears and explorers.
People find it funny because it's another way of storytelling. You can get a lot of, wow factor, a lot of crazy things, especially in short dramas, for example. They're doing a lot of fantasy stuff.
Abadia has even built her own virtual assistant using Alibaba's Quen. In seconds, it spins out a crime plot involving a wedding photographer who didn't know he was part of the conspiracy.
A photographer who stumbles into a crime through his work? That's a classic setup. Let's start with the basics.
Abadia tells her students to prepare for a future where every role in film requires AI literacy. And that future, as someone once said, marches on whether you stand still or not. Still, she insists her students must also go out, shoot with humans, real cameras, real light, real sweat. Because the world of make-believe still needs something that believes.
Some people use AI simply because it's more cost-effective, while others simply say they want to shoot with real people because it's more real.
100 days longer!
In Hollywood, the same argument turned into a war. AI became a flashpoint during the writers and actors strikes of 2023. This year, the launch of a digital actress named Tilly Norwood lit another match. But Chen, the Strange Mirror creator, doesn't see doom. He sees transformation. He predicts a rise in prompt engineers, a new class of artisans who don't paint or shoot, but instruct machines on what to imagine. Artists, meanwhile, are worried their work is being stolen and scraped into the data sets that feed these new digital muses. But Chen shrugs at that concern.
Whether AI-generated content has copyright really depends on how much human intelligence was involved in the creation process, or whether it's more reliant on the accidental content that AI produces.
What is original and what is merely new is not always clear. And at the end of the day, AI merely regurgitates different combinations and takes on human creativity that it's been trained on. For now, we're living in a world where a story can be told in under 2 minutes by no one at all.
Art doesn't give answers, but it often formulates the questions. At a former ironworks foundry on the German-French border, an exhibition commemorates 130 years of Röntgen's invention, the X-ray.
The venue is singularly appropriate. Vogtlinger Hütte is a former ironworks foundry that straddles the German-French border. Now consecrated as a World Heritage Site, it presents industrial history transformed into cultural monument. Inside, the blower hall possesses an atmosphere at once oppressive and revelatory. Much like an X-ray, the subject of an ongoing exhibition called The Power of Röntgen's Vision. The exhibition explores how Wilhelm Conrad Röntgen's discovery 130 years back has inspired generations of creators to look beyond the surface. The exhibition features more than 100 works that use X-rays as both subject and symbol, spanning photography, sculpture, architecture, and digital installations. But it does more than just celebrate. It interrogates, as art must, the relationship between seeing and knowing, between revelation and violation. Consider this portrait of Hitler. His body revealed to contain nothing but gold coins. A brutal metaphor, perhaps too obvious, yet effective in its reduction of the man to his essential greed, his fundamental emptiness. The X-ray as a moral instrument. Then there's Frida Kahlo, her broken spine exposed for perpetual examination. Kahlo's pain was real, embodied, inescapable, and she herself painted her pain, claimed it transformed it into art. Now this portrait continues her project of refusal to pretend that suffering can be gracefully concealed.
X-ray is a show which is joining science and art, but really in a very large sense. So in basics, the subtitle, The Power of Röntgen Vision, is very important because this is reflected in architecture. We are standing right here in this chapter, in the fashion scene, in art in a proper sense, but also in caricatures, in different kinds, or better say in all kinds of art expressions. You can find this way to delve deeply into our world, and this is something which originated from 1895, from this invention of Mr. Röntgen, where he found this technique.
The installation Odem by Christoph Breach is arresting. An arched window composed of X-ray images, it possesses an ethereal quality, mimicking the stained glass windows of churches, but instead of saints and martyrs, we see lungs. The lungs of workers who labored in this very venue, who breathed contaminated air, whose bodies and lungs became repositories of industrial violence.
You can see from the chest X-rays that not all of them are healthy. The air they breathed here while they were working was naturally contaminated, and that is then also reflected here in the image.
Andreas Greiner presents a monument to a broiler chicken, enlarged 20 times, standing 7.5 meters tall in one of the shafts. A dinosaur skeleton, or rather the skeleton of our contemporary food system, made monumental. But not the entire exhibition is so somber. Arie van Riet attempts to create natural beauty from X-rays.
It's not easy for me to define art. So I'm not sure about, is it art? But I try to make my images nice looking. And X-ray in itself, it's black, white, grey, that's it. And so I try to make it more nicely to look at, to color them.
Wim Delvoye's chapel is monumental and provocative. a metal installation referencing Gothic architecture while subverting religious iconography. Instead of biblical scenes, the windows display X-ray images of human and animal bodies alongside other transgressive imagery. Delvoye plays with sacred symbols and profanes them deliberately. Visitors to the exhibition can expect to find themselves confronted not with answers, but questions about visibility and violation, about labor and suffering, about what we choose to see and what we permit ourselves to ignore.
The first transcontinental network. Roads built by the Romans were the lifelines of an empire. Now scientists have mapped unknown routes, some of which still exist and are drawing curious travelers. Love it when a new tech innovation, in this case a high-resolution digital map, brings history back to life.
The Roman Empire gave us many things: architecture, engineering, and law, the foundations of modern civil and property rights, and of course, a legendary phrase, all roads lead to Rome. And now, a new study shows that it might not just be a metaphor, but indeed a fact. Researchers from Denmark and Barcelona, using decades-old satellite surveys, topographical maps, and modern mapping software, have discovered something extraordinary: an additional 100,000 kilometers of Roman roads. With this discovery, the empire's total road network now stands at nearly 300,000 kilometers, enough to wrap around the Earth more than 7 times. And according to the findings, published in the journal Scientific Data, the Roman Empire operated nothing less than the first continental-scale transport system in human history.
Now, for the first time, having access to the spatially detailed open data set of Roman roads allows us to understand where did these phenomena flow through this massive region? What was the impact? What were areas that were particularly vulnerable, particularly susceptible? And what is the overall development over very long timescales of these phenomena that have really shaped our history?
The Roman Empire stretched across 4 million square kilometers, from Britain to Syria, and was home to over 55 million people. Its roads were the empire's lifelines. Not only did they help the Romans maintain control over distant lands, they also enabled massive flows of trade, linking cities, ports, and provinces into one interconnected system.
It conquered areas that were already densely urbanized. With a vast net of existing roads, the Romans continued to use them, they upgraded them. An important contribution by the Romans is that they connected up all of those local road systems. So for the very first time, it was possible to move overland from Syria to Spain, for example, these vast distances. It was truly the first continental scale terrestrial transport infrastructure.
Today, the same network has been recreated digitally. A high-resolution interactive map called I-10E is letting users trace routes across the ancient world, just as Romans once did. Users can explore their own region and see where the nearest Roman road ran, or plot a journey from Cologne to Rome, the same route Romans might have taken across the Alps.
It's kind of like a GPS, like a Google Maps of the ancient world. What I want people to do is explore it, see where their house is, see where the nearest Roman road is. But what we've also created is this route finding tool. How do I get from Cologne in Germany to Rome over the Alps on a donkey? That is how the Romans traveled. It took a very long time. What were the connections followed? What was the path? You can do that for the very first time now.
More than 2,000 years later, the roads that built an empire are being rediscovered, and technology is helping achieve just that, bringing history to life. It also reminds us that even in the age of GPS and satellites, in many ways, all roads still lead to Rome.
COP30 is underway, and this week world leaders have gathered in Brazil to iron out a cohesive, collective global climate action plan. Earlier this year, scientists warned that the Earth had crossed a critical tipping point. While macro strategies are driven by policies, change on the ground is often brought about by efforts of individuals and small communities.
As the planet warms and weather patterns become more extreme, communities around the world are facing the urgent need for clean energy solutions. From rising temperatures to water scarcity, the challenges are clear and the clock is ticking. In the northwestern Indian state of Rajasthan, Savarda, a small village of just about 5,000 residents, has emerged as a tale of initiative and community action. For years, Savarda residents dealt with long power cuts and water scarcity. The heat in this desert topography is debilitating in the summer months, and children struggled to study in sweltering classrooms. A couple of years ago, a farmer in the village had a brainwave. Why not harness the only reliable source of power in the village? The sun. The technology harnessed is hardly cutting edge, but its impact has been life-changing.
When there was no electricity, the water supply was also weak. The farmers could not use the water sprinklers. We also never used to have sufficient water, and there were power cuts very frequently. But now, ever since the solar panels have been installed, things have improved so much, there are no more power cuts, and this has resulted in higher yield as well.
Cut a long story short, 18 months ago, a solar plant was installed in the village, spreading rows of solar panels across the barren landscape. In a relatively short period of time, the same fields today are alive with light, energy, and opportunity.
Energy has transformed the life of all villages. And it's not the only the energy which is made available during the day for irrigation. It is actually going beyond energy access to them. Like you go to the school in the village, they have a more number of students now enrolled.
The impact on education is remarkable. The local government school that once struggled with low attendance now uses technology to enhance learning. Smart classrooms with solar-powered projectors and even computers enable teachers to conduct classes even during the heat wave.
Rajasthan has a severe heat issue and witnesses harsh summers, and the temperatures often cross 49 to 50 degrees Celsius. So it used to get very hot during the classes in May and in July, after summer break. And it was very challenging to teach and study during those months. The children also used to get stressed, and the enrollment in school was very low, because there are better facilities in private schools, and the government has lesser funds. So we used to face a lot of issues. However, after the solar plant was installed, smart, tech-enabled classes also started in the school, and we are using projectors to teach. Also, the computer classes, which used to remain shut during power cuts, are also being conducted in a better way now, thanks to solar power. The children are also happy, and the enrollment has also increased.
Businesses are also flourishing. Tailors operate electric machines, shops have solar-powered refrigerators, and local entrepreneurs are thriving.
देखो पहले क्या था कि लाइट वगैरह जो थी वो
Earlier, the power supply used to be available alternately for 7 days during the night and 7 days during the day. And it used to be very difficult for us as we could not work efficiently and even our customers were unhappy. However, now we have a 24-hour power supply after the solar panels were installed and work is not so hard now.
काम करने की हमारे को कोई दिक्कत नहीं है इस वक्त.
Love the stories in this episode, except for the last one. Now, I'm just prejudiced against fast food, even when it's cooked by humans. I love cooking, and I certainly don't do it just to eat. And also, I'm just a little bit overwhelmed by this deluge of things robots and AI are doing for us. And what bothers me is, why do we need them to do all these things? There is pleasure in creating art, in driving, in reading, in acquiring knowledge. Why should we give all that up? On that note, folks, keep watching WION. Follow us on social media and have a great weekend ahead. This is Nikita Singh. See you on Tech It Out next week. Bye-bye.